Before we start the show, I would like to make an important announcement. I've been nominated for the 2020 Best Online Music Tech Personality Award. I already voted for Nick Bett, but you all know what to do. Thank you so much in advance for your participation. Welcome to Bad Gear, the show about the world's most hated audio tools. When working on the very groovy Boss DR-550 episode, I totally underestimated the importance of the entire Dr. Rhythm range for many musicians. Regardless of age, genre and professional background, almost everybody in the comments had a story about the little Boss noisemakers. Today we're going to talk about a more recent Dr. Rhythm model, the DR-3. Boss released this drum machine in 2003, followed only by the feature-packed DR-8 1 year later and this, whatever it is. Although, or maybe because the DAW revolution was already in full swing back then, Boss decided to produce a classic digital drum machine for guitar players and songwriters and threw in a little bass rumpler for good measure. In the same year, I was already rocking a backup copy of FXpansion BFD on my totally pimped out Aldi desktop PC. It goes without saying that instruments like the DR-3 were entirely beneath my dignity in those days. My 2020 self, on the other hand, has grown a bit tired of those super polished drum libraries. Fortunately, with a show like this, I can usually get away with using 0G data file 1 samples. At the first glance, the Boss DR-3 is ticking all the boxes. If you try to avoid computers for music making at any cost long before the term dollars was a thing. Numerous, albeit a tad small, velocity-sensitive drum pads that double as controls for pattern selection. A big value dial and a bunch of seemingly self-explanatory buttons for mode, transport and navigating through the menu structure of the machine. There's a tap tempo button and it can be assumed that the key shift functionality is for transposing the bass part. Boss included their TSC technology for finalizing the DR-3's backing tracks. It consists of a multiband compressor EQ section and a reverb engine to give the super dry drum sample some air to breathe. There are 100 very generic preset pattern sets called styles that can be played using 50 similarly generic drum and percussion kits. You can make your own patterns and kits, but this is where the head-scratching starts. Even for someone who has seen the horrors of 80 sound module UI madness once too often. It's been less than 24 hours since I programmed a rather complex style on the DR-3 and I already forgot 95% of the techniques necessary to operate the unit. I do have some hazy memories of menu diving, waiting for the unit to save settings and countless button presses that should not be necessary for performing rather simple tasks like, for example, copying a pattern from verse A to fill A. You can switch between two variations of patterns and kits, mute a predefined part of your style, and I like the idea of a sticker saying press here to start with an arrow pointing at a button that has start written on it in big capital letters. Pro tip: there are many people complaining about the impossibility of turning off the bass part. It doesn't work for every pattern, but in most cases the mute button is set up to do exactly that. The DR-3 has a MIDI in for triggering samples and syncing to an external clock, there's a small volume knob on the backside and it's nice to have outputs on both jack and RCA. Leave a comment if you found a way to change the pitch of the drum samples, because I'm not willing to believe that it's not possible. The battery-powered unit was discontinued recently, but there are plenty of used DR-3s available for prices ranging from $70 to $200 Euro/pound. The Boss DR-3 seems like a solid drum machine, but is it really an improvement compared to its predecessors? You have already heard the Boss DR-3 in our little intro tune. We all knew that it would be able to nail some daddy rock drums and the sounds are punchy and functional. The drum machine was not built for real-time tweaking. I wanna know if a little Moog filter can add some drama to the bass sample. Now I know why they put a multiband compressor into this thing. The samples don't seem to be well balanced. It was hard to perform a smooth bass filter sweep, and you have to be very careful when setting the levels of the drum voices internally to prevent the cymbal sounds from being all over the place. The rudimentary song structure of the pattern selection system makes a lot of sense, even for purely electronic music, but it was tedious getting my musical ideas into the machine. Let's forget the DR-3 sequencer for a moment and push the built-in mastering chain to the max in this robo dance routine. So bad. I'm not a big fan of multiband compressors in general, and the master dynamics of the DR-3 are no exception. They get the job done though. I wanna find out if we can lead one of the backing tracks out of the uncanny valley by adding some software instruments and a real guitar played by my dear friend and bandmate for decades, Martin. Verdict. The Boss Dr. Rhythm DR-3 is an instrument that came out during a time when many things were changing profoundly in the world of music production. It doesn't have the old school flair and simplicity of its predecessors, but it's also missing the amenities of later electronic musical instruments like computer integration and a more refined UI. I usually cringe when I hear somebody saying this, but everything you can do with a DR-3 can be done easier, faster and with better results on a computer or even a mobile phone. However, we all know those applications where we don't want our devices to be smart, be it street performances or live sets of all kinds in dark and dirty clubs. The bass rumpler still sucks big time. There is gear that immediately inspires you to make music, creates pictures in your head and takes you by the hand when you're trying to be creative. The DR-3 is more like a pack donkey you have to constantly push into the right direction. As the animal rights advocate that I am, I would recommend the Boss DR-3 to all those musicians who are trying to avoid computers like the plague, or if you want to free up your high-end groove boxes during a transition when playing a DAW-less set. Oh, I almost forgot. There's a cowbell in it too. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Feel free to like and subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment what other kind of gear you would like to see and hear on the show.